Hi, I'm Kathy, and I want to talk about painting windows from Venice to parts of Italy and Paris. This is a photograph, for example, and I took part of the photograph, not the whole image. As you can see here, if you examine this part, you will see it here. I did leave out these large red vases, and I added a lot more detail. But pay attention, please, to the windows, and you will also see in this painting above, this is another French or Italian window. I'm always having to go back to the photo album, but I would use a masking pen to block a lot of the whites out in a painting such as this. This is a masking product that allows you to keep the white of the paper, and then you go back into it. Now, let's come over here where I'm going to be working today, and I have several things started, but I want to paint for you and maybe do a little sketching. This is from another work I began, and I have a lot of detail to add in the flower box and of course the awning that's here, but for later. And it is cute. My daughter Sarah went to Italy, and out her balcony window she was able to do a little postcard which she sent home to me. And so you can keep your little window paintings quite simple, as this one is that I'm going to be working on. All right, I have another one started here, and you can see that I've just done the basic primary color washes for that one. And this is these are my references. These are a lot of the windows from travels, and I painted many of these. They're all inspiration for what I do. Okay, so I have this one right here. It's just the simplest one I could possibly come up with for today, and I'll go back to sketching in a minute, but I want to do what it is that I would do as a painting for something like this. Now, I have sketched it, but as soon as I started putting the watercolor on, I forgot to do my shadows. I'll have to do a little more pencil marking to remind myself where those shadows go. But I'm wetting first the wall because I want to give it really more color than what I have in this little photograph. As you can see, it's very dull. It's kind of a ordinary wall, but when I look at these walls in my photographs, I see these beautiful burnt oranges and yellows. So I'm not even sure where this particular window was. I know it was somewhere in Europe, but I cannot tell you for the life of me. So I'm going to create a color that I feel, and that's my bumblebee yellow with some, whoops, Jim, I got too much, I didn't clean that green off, did I? So I'm going to use some magenta and come up with this lovely color, which kind of dulls because of that little touch of blue that was in there. All right, but I like that color, and I might have a little variation to it. So as I look at my photo and I see that the color is not as bright as what I'm applying, but something I wanted to change to make this painting a little more exciting.
Artist license.
Exactly, Jim, exactly that. And I have some light and dark areas. I want to honor that. So of course I may come back into this with darker shadows for sure. And I do have some touches of light through here and also some shadows. But because I have that window as my focal point, and I want this outside area just to be beautiful color, and you help to unify the whole work through the addition of this. And I think I made just enough paint to get me through that pretty quickly. And while this is still wet, I'm checking out this little rim here. I'm gonna go ahead and paint it. I think I'll put a little more, whew, this is gonna be bright. Do I really wanna do this? Sure. Oh yeah. So I'll add some darker color up here. See, I'm checking out where I have these changes in color. All right. Now, that satisfies the way I want to start. Now, I have, I mentioned that I didn't draw the shadow through here. And I think this is some kind of awning, and I know that the shadow is going to stay dark right through here, and I just wanted to indicate that, plus a little bit of a shadow here. Maybe that shadow goes all the way up. Yes, okay, so this is where my shadows are going to be. This is a really dark opening, but I want to indicate something going on in this room. So I might suggest a curtain, which is kind of nice, whether that window does have a curtain or not, and keep that. So I have variation in here. Another thing I want to do
I see a table and chairs in there.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Too much work, Jim. So I think I'm going to add a few more flowers so that I fill up this window. Remember, that's back to that artistic license. And maybe a few flowers that overflow this. I might go now into this area with the flowers a little bit. And because they're bright colors, let's just have fun with some of those. I don't know if they're roses or petunias.
Geraniums.
Geraniums. I think they're roses, Jim. But whatever. And I need a little variation with that color. I can't just go with, yeah. But it's best to give, we can always go back and brighten these, but let's get them started here. And I'm obviously putting in a few more than there actually are. And many of these are going to be leaves, so there. Kind of suggested, aren't they? Now, I think my next step is going to start with the darks that are in there, and I'm going to make a really dark. I'm going to start with a cobalt blue, and anytime you want to make a dark, and we don't have black in watercolor, what we have are dark colors. I have ultramarine blue, I have the cobalt blue, I have what is called a Prussian blue. How nice and dark that beautiful Prussian blue is. And what I want to do is combine it with brown. This gives me a dark. There's several ways of making dark. This burnt sienna gives me this beautiful dark gray. I love that. Another way of making dark is to use